Hello and welcome to this video presentation. My name is Paul Brett. I am a Senior Software Support Analyst supporting the Transformation Extender product from IBM. For today we are revisiting the topic Generate SSL Certificates for ITX Design Server and REST API. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at PaulBrettIBM. In today's session we're going to be using an alternative technique to that shown in the previous session. Instead of getting the certificates working for Design Server and then altering the REST API to use them, we're going to do a script change to set up custom certificates for the REST API and then alter the Design Server to use those. We will be executing keytool and openssl commands to extract the certificates from the key store and injecting them into the Design Server. In this way, both the REST API and the Design Server will be using the same set of certificates. So, we'll start this demonstration on my virtual machine VM16X-ITX. I've got a fresh installation of ITX 10.1 installed. In the Design Server directory you can see that I haven't yet unzipped the Design Server. I'm going to execute that batch file now and let that run in the background. If we come out of Design Server for a moment and go into the REST API subdirectory, under Tomcat you will see that I don't have a server directory, this hasn't been deployed yet. Okay, so the one change that I'm going to make is to this file here, dtxtomcatservice.bat. But before I make any changes, I am going to create a backup subdirectory, and I'm going to copy all of these files into there so that I can back out my changes if I need to. Okay, so as I said in the last session that I did on certificates, I was creating custom certificates for Design Server and then altering the REST API to use those certificates. In this session, as I said in my intro, we're going to be doing it the other way around. We're going to be generating custom certificates for the REST API and then altering Design Server to use those. So what do we need to do to generate the custom certificates for REST API? Well, we need to edit this file. We need to find a string in this file that starts with the phrase hdl.com. And we need to alter that CN entry from hdl.com to match the host name of our machine. There's also some extra entries we need to do on the end, but we'll start with this first. So I'm removing hdl.com and I'm changing it to VM16X-ITX. At the end of this line we're going to add on another argument. We're going to put in -ext and then in quotes we're going to put in SAN, which is subject alternative name, equals, and then we're going to put in a couple of entries separated by commas. DNS colon VM16X-ITX and, separated by comma, DNS colon localhost. Okay, so this will give us two subject alternative names, the actual host name of the machine and the loopback name localhost, so that we can connect either way using the certificate that we're going to get. That's the only changes I need to make to this file, so if I save it and we just check, yep, back in the Design Server directory we've got the full Design Server package has been unzipped. So I'm going to drop to a command prompt now and run the install, and this will install Design Server, and as part of that process it will also extract and install the REST API, including calling that script that we edited and creating some custom certificates which it will put into a key store for the REST API. Now that the Design Server and the REST API have been installed, I'm going to kick off the Design Server by running the start.bat script, and we'll let that run in the background. But the REST API itself should be up and running, so we're going to try and connect to that now. And as you can see, the certificate is currently not trusted. What we're going to do is we're going to install that certificate as a trusted one, and then we should be able to get in through localhost or through the hostname without any interruptions from the browser. So the process for doing that is to click on the certificate and then on the Details tab, click on Copy to File. I'm going to leave all these options the same. I'm going to put the certificate on my desktop and I'm going to call it the same as the hostname .cer. And finished. Okay, so we've exported the certificate that the REST API is giving us as a file. We're now going to import that into our local Windows Certificate Manager. So certmgr.msc. Under Trusted Root Certificate Authorities, in the Certificates area, I'm going to choose All Tasks Import. Next, I'm going to choose the file that I just imported using my browser, and I'm going to import it into Trusted Root Certification Authorities. Once that's imported, and we can see it in the list of certificates down here at the bottom, VM16xITX, the next time that we try to connect to the localhost entry for the REST API, it should let us in straight away, which it has done, and we have the padlock. And if we just close that and fire that up again, but this time with the host name, VM16xITX:8443, that also lets us straight in. So that's great. The install process for the design server has kicked off the REST API install. It's used that customized line that we've done, created a custom certificate which we've been through the process to trust the certificate authority for. Now it's worth noting at this point that if you have your own key store, you can go into the server subdirectory of the REST API and alter a configuration file so that you can use your own certificate store instead. If we go into the conf subdirectory of this server and edit the server XML file, scroll down to this section here, which is the section that is enabled for SSL. If we was to replace these entries to point to our own key store that we have and copy that key store into the server directory, or possibly into the conf subdirectory, but you'd have to put the relative path conf first before specifying your own key store. You have to also put in your key store password and your type. If it's a JKS, put JKS, otherwise if it's PKCS12, put PKCS12. And then if we save this file and then restart the entire design server REST API service, we would use our custom key store. But today I'm going to use the generated ones that I generated. I don't have an actual certificate from a real root certificate authority. So that's great. Our REST API is using the custom certificate. But what about our design server? Well, let's connect to the design server, and you'll note that the certificate that this is giving is not the same one that the REST API is giving us. It's still using localhost. So let's fix that as the second step. We need to get the design server to use the same certificate as the REST API. If we go into the design server subdirectory, then into client, then into SSL certificates, we have a private certificates directory. These are the two certificates that are being used by the design server, server-crt.pem and server-key.pem. Now I've got a script here that I'm going to use to back up those two files and then use various keytool and openssl commands to grab the ones out of my certificate store that's in my REST API directory, REST API Tomcat server. So here's my certificate store here, dtxtomcat.keystore. We're going to grab the certificates out of that the REST API is using and bring them in as actual single certificate files for the design server to use. Now I've pre-created the script file. I'm going to run through the commands one by one. Okay, so the first thing this script does is change to the drive and path where the script was called from. and then it's going to add Java bin to the path so that the keytool utility can be found. Then we're going to create backups of the existing 2 files. The next 4 steps are the ones that actually generate these certificates for us. Let's just make that a little bit wider. Okay, so the first line here, a keytool, we're going to export from the key store. We're going to look for an alias called dtxtomcat. We're going to create a file called server-crt.der. We're going to grab it out of this key store, which is the full path to my dtxtomcat key store. Now it's worth noting here that if you've got an alternative key store, as I mentioned earlier, that you already have real certificates in, you can replace this part of the script with pointing to your own key store. Now my key store type is PKCS12, but obviously if you've got a JKS key store, that needs to change to JKS. So the next command along, openssl, reads in the DER file and then squirts out a PEM file. So this is basically just converting it from a binary DER to an ASCII PEM file. So that's the server certificate dealt with. The next 2 lines do pretty much the same as the previous 2 lines, but this time we're grabbing the key from the key store. So here again we're pointing to our key store. If you've got a custom key store, change this part. My source key store type is PKCS12. My destination key store is going to be server-key.p12. And my key store type is PKCS12. Now this is again a binary key type. Our second command in this set of 2 is the command that converts that P12 file into the ASCII version of the same, server-key.pem. So these 2 openssl lines generate PEM files. Both of those are the ones that we're going to be using for Design Server. Design Server already uses these 2 files. Those 2 files are in there, and we're backing up the originals here in these 2 lines. So there we go, a good description of what this script does. I will include this complete script in the notes of the YouTube video. So let's execute that script now. It will run fairly fast. During the script I have to enter the key store password several times. Now my key store as default given by IBM is change it, and we're going to need to enter this several times. Change it. And again, change it, change it, change it, change it. Okay, so that's the entire script run, and you'll note several files have been created. We have the DER binary file, we have the P12 binary key, and then we have the ASCII equivalents of the server certificate and the server key. Now as I say, the software is going to be using these 2 files. But it won't use them, it won't pick them up until we stop and restart the service. So let's do that now. Let's issue a stop command and then issue the start command. We have to put .bat on the end. Okay, and startup is complete. Just to prove that the actions that we've taken haven't actually ruined the REST API, I'm going to fire that up again. And as you can see, we went straight in, and there's the padlock. And if we now use the port, the standard port for the design server, in theory, there we go, we get straight into the design server login screen. We've got the padlock there. If we bring up the certificate, you will note that it is using the hostname. And if we go into the extended attributes, you will note that this subject alternative name has the hostname and it has localhost. So in theory, we should be able to use localhost if we want to. Localhost, yes. So localhost works as well, and you still get the padlock. So there we go. There's a summary of using configuration script changes to alter the certificates used by REST API, and then the keytool and openssl commands required to extract the certificates from the key store and apply them to Design Server as well. Additional tip for you here, if you try to get into the REST API on the localhost 8443 port, it lets you straight in, and you click on the Manage App button and that lets you straight in, admin. However, if you're connecting from a remote machine and you use the host name, VM16XITX and then :8443, it lets you straight in, but if you click on the Manage App button, you get this access denied. This is because there's some security on the Apache to stop you getting into the Manager app from remote servers. Here's a quick tip to fix that particular issue. If we go back to our server directory where our Tomcat is running, and into the Web Apps subdirectory, into Manager, and finally into metainf, we'll make one little change to this file, context.xml, and make this line here a comment by putting in > exclamation dash dash, and at the end of the line below dash dash greater than, and saving that file. The next time we connect it to the REST API, we're straight in, got the padlock, we click the Manage App button. This time we get the login as we did before with localhost, admin, admin. And we can go and check out the REST API and see that the REST API is running. And if I close that, I've got a couple of shortcuts here. Here's the shortcut to the REST API Swagger page, and as you can see it lets us straight in and we've got the padlock. And here I have a shortcut to the REST API endpoints, and as you can see, straight in, got the padlock, and I have currently no maps deployed into my REST API. That's the end of the demonstration. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my video presentation today. If you found the content interesting and informative, please hit that like button. Consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, as I release content such as this on a regular basis. Feel free to reach out to me on Twitter @PaulBrettIBM. Thank you.